Well, speaking of other things from 1999,
Pagers? Dude,
Yeah.
we're so good at this.
They went boom, unfortunately, in this in the country we call Lebanon.
You should have a Segway
Yeah.
slide, like a Segway swipe.
Segway
Of
swipe.
just somebody driving by on a Segway. Every time we do that.
I like
Speaking
it.
of,
I can do that.
Speaking of, and then the next. So yeah, sorry, pagers, Hezbollah. This is actually not funny because this is fucked up.
Yeah, no,
this
it's
is
pretty
actual
fucked,
fucking
yeah.
terrorism. It's against like a lot of like international laws. You're not allowed to use booby traps. So for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on.
No, I was just gonna say pagers. Who uses pagers? Realistically, nobody, right? Wrong. People that use pagers are people like
My wife.
Yeah,
My wife
doctors.
is a pager. Yeah.
People that work in like ambulances. Some cops use pagers.
Yeah, a lot of people still use pagers. A lot
It's
of government.
workplace.
Yeah.
Workplace people use pagers because they're not tracked. Like
Mhm.
cell phones can be tracked. Information that is sensitive information cannot be tracked.
They're also
right?
somewhat. They are still efficient for like sending like quick messages to people too. Like
Yeah.
arguably not over a cell phone, but if you can't always have a phone, it is convenient to have a pager because they are very
Yeah.
low tech. It's just, but it also isn't just pagers anymore. It's also the second wave of explosions detonated today.
There's a second wave.
Oh yeah, a whole second wave was exploded. It was also a bunch more stuff, and it's not pagers. It's actually lithium batteries because it was.
Well, the pagers had lithium
But,
batteries
but
inside.
also there was like solar panels.
Okay,
I forget what
let's
else.
break it down for the
Yeah.
people that don't know yet. Okay, so basically what happened was the IDF or Israel or whatever the fuck you want to call it somehow intercepted a bunch of pagers containing lithium batteries that are already inside that were going up to Hezbollah. And they basically...
It wasn't today. It was yesterday. The second wave was yesterday.
Okay, yesterday. They planted something that would be able to basically heat up the battery, and then basically instantaneously, which would explode the pager. These pagers were handed out not only to Hezbollah members who are known to use pagers, but also anybody that got their hands on them. Doctors. I mean, a fucking child died.
A second child has died now too.
2 children are now
Yeah.
dead. From I don't know how
One of
many
them was a
deaths now.
9-year-old girl. I don't have the details of the other one.
Correct.
There are tons of videos and like maybe like
20 people killed and over 4.
no, that's way outdated. As last I
Yeah.
saw, it was pushing over 40 people have killed because I guess every operating room because it's like you can imagine like a countrywide like
Yes.
let's like set the scene here is like this was a mass terror event of like thousands of pagers across the country, and now it's not only just pagers, it's now solar panels, walkie-talkies, anything that basically has a lithium battery in the country of Lebanon basically exploded on people's hips and people's pockets, on people's desks or whatever. And so that shrapnel is indiscriminate, and that those explosions are completely indiscriminate and arbitrary of targets, right? So this is a mass terror attack across the country of Lebanon. Apparently, like there, like ambulances were just scrambling all over Beirut, not Beirut, Beirut, yeah, and all and like all of the operating rooms are in use because there's there's surgeries happening constantly all over the country. Like
they basically castrated 40,000 people. Not 40,000.
It's not 40,000, but I think it was at a certain point the attacks was over 3,000 devices.
Yes, so like
and there are tons of security
4,000,
footage. There's security footage of just people like there's a bunch of them in a checkout lane of grocery stores, and it's just on a desk or whatever, and then there's just an explosion, a bunch of people fall. There's just like there's tons of CCTV footage of just like all across the country, just explosions happening. It's just like the most like egregious and wild. And the leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, I think his name is, he went out and gave a statement. He's just like, this is so far over any like line of like human decency or whatever, because this is just indiscriminate terrorism. Like Israel is a terrorist state.
Imagine you're setting the scene again. Imagine you have a pager and you're on a fucking plane in the middle of the goddamn sky. Yeah. The pager blows, a hole in the plane basically blows open.
Yeah, all the airlines.
350 people fucking perish.
Yeah, I don't think anything were on a plane that detonated, and my guess is because like radios would have been cut off at that altitude or whatever if because like surely the like law of averages said that one of them had to have been on a plane. But regardless, all of the airlines in the region, Lebanon, Jordan,
bus
whatever,
crashes the bus.
Yeah, there were a bunch of cars that were kind of that were hit, but a bunch of airlines are no longer allowing kind of any low tech. They're not allowing walkie-talkies or pagers or anything on the planes anymore, which is fair, I guess.
Regardless, the point is like the explosion is not the explosion is not specific. The explosion happens everywhere and
Yeah.
anywhere, and it'll
Like I
take
said, it's
out
indiscriminate and
children. It took
arbitrary.
out women, innocent people. If it was one thing that they had the exact pagers or whatever that were going out to Hezbollah, and they killed all of whatever the Hezbollah people. First of all, that's fucked, right? Second of all, that's not what happened. Random innocent people had these pagers. For fuck's sake, children died.
Yeah. Do you want to watch this?
Sure.
let me
Well, I
see.
want to say one thing. If we flip this around and we said, what if Hamas sent this to the IDF, and this many people died or were injured in Israel, they would say it's one of the biggest fucking terrorist attacks.
100%. This
in
would
the
be like
past
completely.
20
We would
years.
American boots were already been in the ground if this was like something that
Exactly.
happened in Israel.
Exactly. But instead, the American media is turning around and calling it a very sophisticated and an intelligent plot to take out Hezbollah members.
Yeah, and Israel
It's just
has
gross.
yet to say anything. Also, you know what they're saying is, what if Putin does this? They've already like they're recognizing that it's bad, but not saying anything
Was it
bad about.
Commie Central? I saw Commie Central's tweet, and it was basically like, the West conducts terrorist attack of exploding thousands of pagers, killing a servitude of people, and the West turns around and says,
Like, how can Putin?
I was like,
use this?
what so this is what China can do in the future.
Right. Yeah. And so like they recognize that it's bad, but not bad enough to like. I
If
don't
we
know.
do it, it's not bad.
Yeah.
When they do it, it's terrorism. Go fuck yourself. I don't know what else to say. This is literally just evil.
Yeah, this is awful. Do you want to watch this short video?
Yeah.
It's a minute and a half. Apparently,
Let's
this is on CNN's website. I think it has some of the clips of the explosion, so we can
Yeah.
you can see what we're talking about if you're on the video version.
Let's do it.
Hours after thousands of pages exploded across Lebanon, another wave of explosions, possibly smaller, possibly 30 to 40, half of which were in the southern suburbs of Beirut, controlled by Hezbollah. Another wave of blasts.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so this was
Seemingly
after the initial
emanating
wave.
from
Yeah.
wireless devices, predominantly walkie-talkies. It seems devices used, according to a Lebanese security source, to use crowd control. Possibly also one detonating at a funeral for somebody indeed killed 24 hours earlier
Jesus
at
Christ,
one
man.
of the
Yeah, it's just
pager
awful, dude.
explosions. So another wave of panic, concern, another moment in which the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah, normally prided themselves on operational security and their discipline, will frankly be concerned about what communication
that's the
devices
question.
they can indeed use, who they might be trying to reach out to, who is unharmed.
This brings into question, like,
a moment of panic
security.
for ordinary Lebanese too, hearing another wave of blasts, and another moment potentially too where the finger is pointed at Israel, who publicly said little, but CNN has learned were behind the
Yeah, it's
pager
now been-
blasts. Another moment as well.
It's now been confirmed that it is. But Israel still said nothing, but I think it is confirmed now that they are behind it. We know that they're behind it, but they still haven't said anything. And that kind of begs the question: is like, how did this happen? Like, how do you get
I don't
explosive
know.
devices into thousands of different random devices, seemingly targeted?
They're gonna have to be devices that people obtained recently.
Yeah.
Because if not, somebody would have to
A bunch of,
physically
like,
go
there
to
was,
that
like-
person's house, take apart the pager, put it.
I saw like it was like questions, like statements put out by like different factories that like manufacture these devices. I think in India and China and different like plants around the world that have all said like we have no knowledge of this, but it's like somebody somewhere sabotage these
As
devices.
an insider.
Yeah, like you can't like it's not like they could just like detonate batteries. There had to have been explosives
Well, here's the
inside
thing.
these things.
If it's coming from multiple different factories and shit, I don't think it's somebody in the factory. I think it has to do
Like
with
a distribution plan or something after the fact.
It's I would have to say it's like the transportation of it when to get into Lebanon. It has to go through somewhere, right? Where
Yeah.
is it going through? It's either going through Turkey, it's going through Syria, or it's going through Israel. So one of the places there was probably a seizure of these materials. All these
They're
materials
tampered with,
and returned, and you're like, you're good to go. No worries. We thought there was something wrong. There's nothing wrong, and then they
Yeah.
flagged them on. But they had a team.
It's
on
thousands of
standby.
devices though.
That's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
lot. That's pre-planned.
Yeah, I mean, you
It's
got
all
to think too,
pre-planned.
like about like these types of like remote detonations. Is like there's got to be a margin for error, right? So if 3,000 plus went off, like how many didn't?
Yeah.
You know, like we mentioned, like if there was any in planes or that were like where they lost radio communication, like that didn't get detonated or something. Like how many more are floating out there? I'm sure now that Hezbollah, because it sounds like they have pretty tight security, they would have like surrendered or destroyed any existing non-exploded, or at least inspected any kind of walkie-talkies or pagers or whatever looking for kind of any explosives device. It's fucking wild though. It's wild that the lengths that Israel will go to just like kill people. It's just
And
like
zero
it's just,
repercussion. It's
and then again,
zero.
zero. America has said very little, and to like my annoyance, still like countries like Iran and Lebanon really haven't done anything. There have been strikes back and forth. There was another airstrike actually today from Israel to Lebanon. I think another 30 people were killed in Lebanon from an airstrike today from Israel, and it's just like, dude, nothing. And I mean, not nothing. Hezbollah has been striking Israel. I think there's been not a single day for the last 11 months where there wasn't an airstrike back and forth. But still, like, I don't know. If a country detonates 3,000 plus bombs, killing civilians, including children, in your country, like, you have to fucking act. Like, you would think, right?
At what point?
Yeah.
At what point is the international community going to step down and be like, all right, enough is enough. We're not going to do anything if there is retaliation.
Yeah.
You know, and at what point are they going to step up and be like,
Well,
if Israel does something else, we're gonna have to fucking step in.
That's the frustrating part, is because that's what I see is like after this, the first reports you see are like, hopefully, like, so like what you see from the international community after something like this happens, after these like this terrorist attack by Israel on Lebanese people, the international community says to Lebanon, don't attack them back. Like, you can't, like, if you attack them back, then that'll be provocation or whatever. And it's just like, no, how come you didn't say anything to Israel? It's always like, well, you can't say anything to them. Like, you can't do anything, Lebanon. Just make sure you don't do anything back, Lebanon. It's like, well, how come Israel isn't getting a stern talking
or
to?
Or what? That's what they need to start saying. Or what?
Yeah, I agree.
What? What are you? What the fuck are you going to do?
Yeah.
I dare you. I dare you to do anything.
I double dog dare you.
I triple dog dare you. Infinitum.
Infinitum.
Yeah.